Connor Lewis, who was in our room for a while. Luke Getzey was there. Butkus, Stenovich, guys I spent a lot of time with. Those friendships are special, and it was good to see those guys.
Aaron Rodgers just dropped a bombshell that shook the NFL. After facing his old team for the first time, he confirmed what many feared. The Pittsburgh Steelers may have given him one last shot, but Rodgers' heart never really left Green Bay. His announcement stunned fans across both cities. The game itself proved disappointing for Pittsburgh. Green Bay defeated the Steelers decisively, exposing weaknesses in Pittsburgh's offensive line and raising questions about Rodgers' ability to elevate the team. The Packers' defense pressured Rodgers throughout the contest, forcing hurried throws and limiting his effectiveness. The loss highlighted the challenges facing the Steelers despite adding a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Following the defeat, Rodgers made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the NFL community. According to a Reuters report published on October 24, 2025, Rodgers stated his intention to retire as a member of the Green Bay Packers. "I'll retire a Packer," Rodgers said in the interview. This declaration came despite still being under contract with Pittsburgh, suggesting that his time with the Steelers would be brief. The announcement carries significant implications for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The franchise invested in Rodgers with the expectation of competing for a championship, but the veteran quarterback has now publicly stated his limited commitment to the organization. This creates an awkward situation for Tomlin and the front office, who must balance immediate competitive goals with long-term planning at the most important position in football. The Steelers' decision to sign Rodgers came after exhausting other options. The team drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft, hoping he would develop into a franchise quarterback. After 2 inconsistent seasons, the organization moved on, trading Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles in March 2024. Mason Rudolph showed flashes of competence, but lacked the consistency required for a playoff contender. Mitchell Trubisky, signed as a free agent in 2022, failed to establish himself as a reliable starter. Rodgers' career statistics demonstrate why Pittsburgh was willing to take a chance on the aging quarterback. Over 18 seasons with Green Bay, he completed 65.3% of his passes for 59,055 yards and 475 touchdowns against 105 interceptions. His career passer rating of 103.6 ranks among the highest in NFL history. He won MVP awards in 2011, 2014, 2020, and 2021, cementing his status as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. However, the physical decline that accompanies age cannot be ignored. Rodgers' mobility has diminished significantly, limiting his ability to extend plays outside the pocket. His arm strength, while still above average, no longer allows him to make the same throws that once defined his game. The Steelers' offensive scheme needed to adapt to these limitations, creating additional challenges for the coaching staff. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Aaron Rodgers in early June 2025, bringing the veteran quarterback to a franchise desperate for stability at the position. Rodgers spent 18 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, compiling 475 touchdown passes and winning 4 league MVP awards during his tenure. The move to Pittsburgh came after the Steelers struggled through multiple seasons of inconsistent quarterback play, cycling through various options without finding a long-term solution. Mike Tomlin has been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2007, making him one of the longest-tenured coaches in the NFL. During his time with the organization, Tomlin has never posted a losing season, maintaining a remarkable streak of consistency that spans nearly 2 decades. He led the Steelers to a Super Bowl victory in the 2008 season and has consistently kept the team competitive in the AFC North. However, the quarterback position has remained a persistent challenge for Pittsburgh in recent years. Since the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger after the 2021 season, the Steelers have struggled to find a stable solution under center. The team cycled through Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph with limited success. This instability at quarterback has prevented the Steelers from making significant playoff runs despite maintaining solid defenses and strong coaching. The signing of Rodgers represented a major gamble for Tomlin and the Steelers organization. At 41 years old, Rodgers was no longer the mobile, improvising quarterback who tormented defenses for years in Green Bay. The Steelers hoped his experience and football intelligence would compensate for declining physical abilities. The reunion game against Green Bay was scheduled for October 2025, marking Rodgers' first appearance at Lambeau Field as an opponent. The loss to Green Bay also exposed deeper issues within the Steelers' roster. The offensive line struggled to provide adequate protection, allowing multiple sacks and hits on Rodgers throughout the game. The running game failed to establish consistency, putting additional pressure on the passing attack. Defensively, Pittsburgh showed vulnerabilities against Green Bay's balanced offensive approach. Mike Tomlin now faces one of the most complicated challenges of his coaching career. His streak of non-losing seasons remains intact, a record that symbolizes consistency and resilience. But the path forward suddenly looks unstable. The Steelers invested major resources to bring in Aaron Rodgers, hoping his experience and leadership would immediately elevate the team. Instead, Rodgers has announced publicly that he plans to play only one season before retiring. That declaration has created a cloud of uncertainty around the organization, turning what was supposed to be a short-term boost into a long-term problem. For Tomlin, this situation represents a leadership test. He must balance the desire to win now with the reality that his star quarterback's future lies elsewhere. A lame duck scenario like this can easily fracture locker room chemistry. Players know when a teammate's heart isn't fully in the long haul, and that awareness can subtly erode focus and unity. Coaches across the league have faced similar circumstances before, but few with a player as high-profile as Rodgers, whose every comment draws national headlines. The announcement also exposes a deeper issue within Pittsburgh's recent history. The Steelers once stood as a model of stability at quarterback. Terry Bradshaw defined the 1970s dynasty, and Ben Roethlisberger carried the franchise for nearly 2 decades. Those eras provided continuity, identity, and direction. But since Roethlisberger's retirement in 2021, Pittsburgh has struggled to find a lasting solution under center. Attempts to replace him with short-term veterans and unproven prospects have fallen short. Now, even with Rodgers, the team again faces the same question. Who leads the offense once he's gone? Rodgers' revelation about wanting to retire as a Green Bay Packer reveals just how emotionally tied he remains to his former team. For nearly 2 decades, Green Bay wasn't just his employer, it was his football home. His departure to Pittsburgh was a business move, a chance for one last shot at a Super Bowl. Yet deep down, his allegiance never left Wisconsin. That emotional split may be understandable, but it raises doubts about how fully committed he is to helping the Steelers succeed. Fans and analysts alike have begun to question whether this final season is more of a farewell tour than a genuine push for another championship. According to his interview with Reuters, Rodgers stated that he intends to finalize his retirement with the Packers when the time comes. That remark implies ongoing communication between him and Green Bay's management, even as he suits up for Pittsburgh. Such an arrangement is rare in professional sports. Typically, players focus entirely on their current teams, avoiding mixed signals that could confuse teammates or fans. Rodgers' transparency, while honest, puts the Steelers in an awkward position, celebrating his legacy while knowing it will end somewhere else. Aaron Rodgers' confirmation that 2025 will almost certainly be his final NFL season leaves the Steelers with more questions than answers. They knew his tenure would be brief when they signed him, but the public nature of his retirement announcement makes managing expectations far more difficult. Mike Tomlin must now lead a team that's trying to win in the present while bracing for another reset at quarterback in the near future. It's a balancing act between pride and practicality, and one that will define how both Tomlin and Rodgers are remembered in their final chapter together.